Good day, everyone. Welcome to WNY Coaches Chalk Talk. Rich Jacob here with Coach Blair Lipsitz. And we're excited today to talk about youth sports and competition. Coach, please, lead off.
Yeah, I have been thinking about this a lot this week and what the role of competition is in youth sport and how, what is it teaching young people? Are we framing it the right way? And what's the impact it's having long term on our young athletes? And has it changed, I guess, is one of the biggest questions. Has the role of competition changed just over the last even 10 years?
Well, that's interesting. Has it changed? Where has it been?
Mm-hmm.
There's a winner, there's a loser. How early in someone's lives do we start to teach them what that might mean?
Right. And do people have that, or is it built? The competitiveness, the drive.
Boy, Coach, these are loaded questions.
I know.
And it's okay. It's totally okay. Well, instinct, great man theory, long time ago in leadership. We talk here about mental toughness, and we ask, do people have that?
Mm-hmm.
Can it be learned? Is it biological? Is it environmental?
Right.
I mean, I have to think that it can be absolutely environmental, right? We can, we are conditioned based on
I'm sort of inclined to go there too.
Yeah, I mean, we learn what we learn because of those around us and because of what happens at home, what happens at school, what happens, in this case, in the little leagues, in the startup leagues and organizations that foster this, foster sport in its truest form. So I think if we start to talk about reframing, I like your word there, reframing what competition and winning might be for young people. I mean,
like, is it healthy? And I think a lot of this came from the question of, and we have to go there, right, of participation trophies. We hear a lot about this, and everybody gets a trophy, so everybody's a winner. Do you think that that's something that's needed? Do you think that's helpful, or do you think it's hurting the cause going forward for these young people? Do you think it's better for them to learn how to lose and then learn how to react to that?
Well, I think there's a time. I think there's a time for what, winning, true score.
Right.
The T-ball game. Like, well, who won? Well, people explain, nobody wins. We all win. Well, then you ask the 6-year-old, how'd you do today? And the parent will say, well, we all win. And the 6-year-old will say, no, we lost 20-12.
Right. They know the
keep
score.
The score.
Yeah.
I think that it reminds me of the great effort of the Positive Coaching Alliance. This is a movement, a long-time movement. I think it started in the 1980s. Jim Thompson comes to mind as the founder. I mean, they did this redefining of winning. Like, they talked about the elm tree. Effort, learning, and mistakes are okay. Right? So they symbolically use the elm tree to help young people understand that making the effort, trying your best, that idea of maximum effort. I know we're going to jump around here in this discussion because there are a couple or more sides to it, but I think things like the Positive Coaching Alliance, the elm tree, and then they talked about this compliment sandwich. And I say sandwich.
Oh, right.
My wife gets on me every time I do, and I know it's sandwich. But the right,
that's okay. I have a word too. I say album. every time. I can't help it.
Well, what's your favorite album?
You say it too.
No,
It's hard. It's like everybody has one of those words, right? That's
true.
difficult to say. And my husband calls me out every time I say it. So now, and I can't say CD or I can't say anything else. It's like that's the only word that I can use. So anyway, I just choose not to discuss music.
Well, we love learning more about you every week. This is good. So this sandwich is the, say something good.
Right.
All right. If you're going to be constructive, say something good, then this correctable error or area for improvement that you want to identify to that young person, we say that next, and then you finish the other part with another good, with another positive. So right in between those two slices of bread is the challenge or the correction that you're trying to help the student learn.
And is the thought there that they'll bounce back better from the positive reinforcement at the end?
Well, again, when we look at the overall perspective and the overall goal, it is. I mean, there are so many inherent benefits to the participation outside of the score, outside of the game itself.
Of course, yeah.
This whole idea of socialization, of cooperation. There is. It's very important to teach cooperation. It's very important to teach. When someone got there before you, or if they won the race, so to speak.
Right.
It's okay. Did you try your best? Yes. Did you do everything that you could? Yes. Well, then you're a winner.
Right.
Right. In my mind, you are always a winner when you try your best. So I don't think that's hiding anything. I think that's true. We all the way up the ladder at any level.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, I know. Houston Astros last night. Right. They're out. Atlanta Braves, World Series champions.
Right.
I mean, the world saw. They're the champions. Are the Houston Astros losers? Yes, on paper we understand they're losers, but I mean, again, you've been there. So when you and your team won NCAA titles, that team that you beat, I think they're winners too.
Right.
They're there.
They're there. They're in the game. They're at the biggest point, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's hard because I think maybe we're saying the same things, but in a different way, because I think losing is healthy. I think failure is good for you. And I think you grow from that. And it is, I was a 5-year. So my first year I was a redshirt. So we didn't win that year. And then my next 4 years we won. And so I remember what the locker room felt like there. And I think it was at regionals that we lost. And there was a lot of learning in that part, like in that moment, right, to go into the next year. But I just think even further than that, so many of these young athletes that we're talking about in youth leagues aren't going to go on to play professionally. They might not go on to play in college.
Right.
But I think what they're learning is the ability to bounce back from failure that they're going to need in real life, when they don't get a job interview. Or it's that kind of thing that I think maybe they're missing out on if people aren't keeping score, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it does make sense. And I think that this set of ground rules of, okay, well, what are the expectations? What do we say to a 3-year-old, again, in the beginning of their sport experience? I mean, we here at Western New York coaches, we want to be some of that team that invite young people into the world of sport. Why? Because we love it, we love them, and we want to try to impart as much wisdom and knowledge and experience as we can to all parents who are involved. Again, we're talking about the emphasis to the young people. Well, we have to train the parents, right? The parent coaches. Because, 90+% of youth coaches are parents. which is a wonderful thing. But at the same time, the need for at least some level foundational education as to what this means. You know, what winning means, what kind of emphasis. I mean, again, you know, the throwing the clipboard because a 4-year-old misses a ground ball, that's not the case, right? That's not the emphasis.
Case.
But
not at all.
When we this evaluation, like, that's why I go to the ground rules, like in the beginning. Well, what are we going to do? Is there other than we go get the Freezy Pops after every game,
right?
Which is, even I, as a coach, look forward to that, right? But at the same time, if the young people know, look, here's how we're going to do it. We're going to practice. We're going to try to break this game down into the components, pieces of a puzzle. You know, again, any way you can use, you know, symbolism to help them understand that there are pieces of the puzzle, and maximum effort and respect for others are at the foundation of this pyramid of success. You know, the great John Wooden, right? The pyramid of success. But I think there's a youth pyramid that maybe we can even reconstruct.
Yeah.
You know, many people have made efforts. Much research is done, of course, on youth sports, and we talked a little bit on a couple of these podcasts about burnout and the issue of 12, 13-year-old young people leaving the sport because of so much pressure.
Right.
This is
unnecessary pressure.
Yeah, unnecessary pressure. And this is kind of, we're at the beginning of it, right? When we talk about, and I keep saying the 3-year-olds, but I don't know if there are. I mean, sure, 1-year-old, 2-year-old, and I guess the age does matter when we're talking about this thing, because mental and emotional capacity of a 3-year-old is different even from a 7-year-old.
Yes.
So, you know, developmentally, where are we with this idea of competition? I think, you know, the example of designing your practice sessions for, you know, kind of mini games, mini fun games inside the practice that, yes, are connected to the specific game that we're talking about, but overall connected to the idea of working together, working with others, being part of a team.
Right.
I mean, there's so much to learn and so much that can be emphasized and be a lot of fun, a great experience without even thinking about the scoreboard or the rules of the game.
Yeah, and how do you isolate what is truly fun for kids, right? Like, where does their joy come in? And I can tell you from my experience with my 3-year-old, it's learning new skills. It's learning how to do something different. You know, I remember the first day she played defense, she was angry that she had to defend. Like, that's the ball I get to kick. What's he doing? I don't think so. I didn't sign up for that. I thought we were just kicking the ball on the goal, right? And then you start adding layers to it. Yeah. And then the next week, she understands it more and it's more fun, you know? So it's just like learning different skills every week, I think, is what keeps it fun. So as a coach, you know, in youth sport, that should be pretty easy. But as you get older and as you get into more competitive games, that becomes harder. And you have to still find the joy somewhere in there, so that even, you know, a 17-year-old playing baseball is still finding new things to get better at. Right.
I think, and, you know, your child, you listened.
Yeah.
That's what you, so to
it
answer,
is hard,
to answer your
though.
own questions, right? Well, how do we do that? What do we emphasize? Well, let's listen.
It's hard because you see, you know, I see that she is driven by competitiveness. And it's hard not to, it's going to sound bad, use it to our advantage. But, you know, if she's taking a long time getting ready in the morning, we'll say, oh, who can get ready faster? Your baby brother or you? And she goes, you know? And so it's easier for us in the morning if we do that. But are we fostering an unhealthy, competitive environment for her? We might be, but it's what drives her. Like, I can already tell that's what drives her. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know if I want to go. She's only 3. She's 3.5. So it's tough to, it's like we don't want to go there yet. We want her to just like do her thing and pick her sport, but it's just weird to see it in kids when they're that young.
Well, and again, we listen and then we hear. If we can, you really see, and she's enjoying that.
Yeah.
She's enjoying that,
Poor child.
in and of itself.
Right. Right. And I remember as a kid being very naturally competitive. And I've talked to people that are not and never felt that way. That, if we won or we lost, it was no big deal. It's a game. We'll play next time. And in team sports, you recognize, the disappointment behind losing, for the team. Mm-hmm. But not everybody, it doesn't seem like, has been either coached into that or has that from the time they're little.
You're right. That question of where we get it from, mm-hmm. or who has it and who doesn't, I think will always be
the chicken or the egg, right?
There'll be different perspectives.
Yeah.
But I know even having the privilege of coaching Little League,
mm-hmm.
Both boys and girls, I remember, some people will say like, hey, my friend there was playing outfield, but let her play second base.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or, who was batting first? Well, let the players, the young people will
they'll tell
guide
you.
us. Yeah, they
mm-hmm.
will guide us. And others would
they
want
see
to
it.
be, and then the others would want to be,
mm-hmm.
I want to pitch all the time. I want to bat first all the
mm-hmm.
time. There are different personalities. And I mean, it's nice to circle up and talk about that even at that age.
Right.
So I think that by some sort of design, right, there should be an itinerary, if you will, an agenda for a youth coach, and we don't want to make it, 10 items long, but things like, this Ketchum's doing
mm-hmm.
something good,
right?
Like somebody falls down, they help them up.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody
point that out and make it a big deal. Yeah.
And sportsmanship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody does something good on your team or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay
right.
to say good work, or at the right time at the end of the game, congratulate
mm-hmm.
them, or even during the play. I mean, you see that in
mm-hmm.
you see that in the World Series.
Right.
See somebody
like the other team doesn't have to be bad for your team to be good.
Yeah, right.
That's a big point.
That's a big point, right? And I think those points,
mm-hmm.
and we can go down some of them. This idea of it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
That one, and I that comes. And again, all coaching begins at home in my mind.
I would agree with that. Mm-hmm.
So, which is a good thing. But again, then what do we say? What do we say as people who are involved in training and development of coaches? We want to invite anyone who has any interest
mm-hmm.
in this coaching field and say, what do we say to them about youth competition? Well, let's everybody send the same message, first of all.
Yeah.
If we have 15 teams in this little
right.
league, and
one team's trying to win out,
right.
and the rest
right.
are trying to get better. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that it comes down to leadership, and communication, mm-hmm. and clear communication.
Yeah.
So I think that if we can help parents, coaches, administrators have a common philosophy in this youth effort, it's going to be most important.
How do they do that? I mean, how administratively do you get all the coaches together? Do you get all the coaches and parents in the same room and everybody's there and this is what we're doing and this is what the league is doing and we're not going to tolerate anything outside of that?
Well, usually...
Can that be done? I've never been in like the...
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Little League for some reason. But
well, there's always a beginning of the season meeting like this.
Yeah.
But I believe there needs to be more,
mm-hmm.
like a check-in.
Yeah.
If we look at a semester midterm
mm-hmm.
or mid-season, like maybe we have 3 of those
mm-hmm.
meetings, all-inclusive meetings.
Right.
Right, that are mandatory.
But then you also have to follow through.
That's right.
Right? If there's a parent or a coach who's not on board,
Right.
are you going to be prepared to make that decision?
Right.
And if you have enough of the meetings, if you have enough of the clear communication, I think you can do that. But
Yeah, a contract.
it's tough.
There's a contract. Right?
Yeah, right.
There's a zero tolerance
Of course.
et cetera. Parents intervening at the wrong time or in the wrong way.
Right.
Again, that clarification has to be clear. We have to be clear to the parent. At the same way, we have to be clear to the young people about what they're looking to accomplish here.
And it can happen. I mean, there's a volleyball club that I don't know if they're still doing this, but they were while I was coaching, where they up to, I think it's like 16U, everyone plays every position, which is unheard of now in competitive club sports.
Yes.
And they said, we are going to build the all-around player versus focusing on, and I mean, they were still winning games, right? Because they had great athletes, but it was a very different model than people were ready for, I think.
And the age group of this one?
They probably started at 10-ish, 10 or 12. So for that time, I mean, you see a lot of times now, 10 or 12 people are starting to, okay, you should be this or you should be that. Or, you're 6'4", you're going to be a middle. Whatever it is based on, your body type and things like that. And they were like, everybody's going to play everything. Everybody's going to learn how to play everything. And you're going to be a more well-rounded athlete because of it.
I like
it's been really interesting to sort of watch them progress from year one to year whatever. First couple of years of any club are tough. But then they start getting their footing. And then all of a sudden, everybody can set a ball. Everybody can pass a ball. And it changes it a little bit.
Yeah, I have a friend who's a lacrosse coach. And it's running, catching, and throwing in the beginning.
All. Yeah.
And until we all can do that, we're not going to move forward.
Right.
In the development of
fundamentals.
Of learning the game. That's right. So true.
And maybe that's the focus, right, for youth is it's like the focus is fundamentals, and everybody says it is, but then you get into that first game and you're like, all right, we just lost because all we've done is fundamentals.
Right.
How many coaches shift into, okay, we're going to put all the players in the positions, and that's going to, a lot, right? Because we are also competitive people as adults.
And it's a good thing, and that energy needs to be channeled
Yeah,
productively.
of course, right.
But how about fundamentals for the coach?
Right, right. That's where we come in.
Yeah, I think so.
Coach fundamentals.
I think so. And again, what's first fundamental? Well, safety.
Yeah, right.
What's the next one? Fun.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Fundamentals are in there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Basics of being of participating in sport.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We always even talk to athletes. Before you're a volleyball player, you're a person.
Mm-hmm.
Before you're a volleyball player, you're an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So this skill set of being an athlete.
Right.
When
That's why college coaches love multi-sport athletes.
I think so.
I
think so. I watched Syracuse University play the first game the other day against Lemoyne, the local team. But again, you see the Syracuse profile.
Mm-hmm.
The longest wingspan in the history of basketball has to be. If we looked at one college team and say who has the longest wingspan in the history, if we
right.
Accumulated, it has to be Syracuse. You wait till you see them this year. I mean, they're going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
First of all, they got a lot of firepower. They got both the Boeheim boy. The brothers are together now.
Okay.
So Coach Boeheim's coaching two of his sons, which are both starters now.
We should absolutely have him on to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, that's good. It is good.
And talk about that, that's tough.
Well, the whole dynamic. Well,
the dynamic is, it just changes when it's your own family on the court.
Or
maybe not. Maybe he has the secret.
I think the secret is talking to your young ones. I had the experience. I coached in the same season. I had the ponytail, the girls minors, and the boys t-ball on the same field, Shoshone Park here in Buffalo. So I didn't. It was they needed volunteer. I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. And it was a blast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a couple days that I was running from the t-ball diamond across the field to coach.
Right.
That was a little crazy, but as the years went on, it was so much fun coaching all the young people. Then I had, these are my own children. So then I had to ask, look, I can come with the chair and cheer you on, or I can be your coach again.
Right.
And I always did what they asked.
Yeah.
Because
and were there times where both of those things happened? Did they ever say, come with the chair?
Actually, they gave me the good vote. I was able to coach them for a few years early there.
Right.
But then there definitely became a time. Then I look ahead. You talk about the travel and 10, 11, 12, and then I would be cheerleading. My son was a goalie in hockey, and I used to start the cheer, and he would look up and kind of give me that be quiet. Yeah, be quiet up there. So, yeah, I learned my lesson there, too. But the research will tell you, if you're going to coach your own child, there has to be that kind of discussion.
Right.
It has to be consensual. If you will.
Yeah.
We both have to be okay with it.
Yeah.
And it's very important that happens, however that happens in each scenario, each relationship.
And it needs to happen yearly or seasonally or whatever it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Each time.
Yeah. Bring the chair.
Yeah, I think. Well, this is a really great topic, and I'm not sure we made much inroad, Coach.
I know. I think you can. You can go into parent coaching. We can go into leadership and teaching leadership at a young age, but those are, I think, different podcasts. We'd be here all day.
Yeah. Well, I think again to recap a couple of very important things is the safety. Make sure not only on your clipboard you have to have every parent phone number, every doctor's phone number, right? Anything that is related to that young person's health, you should know.
Right.
You should know. Really, you should know, Coach.
Yeah.
Right. They have to have that information with them. Anything that you do related to physical development, make sure you understand that there's science behind it. Is it at 6 years old? Certain things physically we shouldn't be doing. There are stretches, traditional stretches that maybe the parents when they were young
thought was
okay, and right now it's really not a good thing. The little league elbow, right? The great pitcher. So how many pitches are they throwing? How many times?
Right.
I mean, like you alluded to with that volleyball club, there are rules that everybody has to play at least 2 innings, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And I think, again, to reemphasize what you said, more of that has to happen.
Yeah.
And it would be nice that it could be uniform across youth sports.
Right.
And
kind of should be, right? I mean, for youth. Absolutely.
I think so. And again, we're just one of these organizations that may be able to at least contribute to that effort. And will we ever cross sports? Well, hockey does it this way, volleyball does it this way. Okay, we understand the sport-specific needs and goals, but in the end, the philosophy, the approach has to be for the young people who they are before the sport.
Right.
So I think that there's a need.
Right.
I think that certainly there's a void, again, not to pay any disrespect to anybody who's doing wonderful things and making these great efforts, but there's always room, as we know, for improvement. And in particular, the youth sports, the joy, the muse, the pure intent of sport needs to be at the forefront. I think of these discussions. And again, you said it. We both talked about it today. There are going to be different views, different perspectives, and people are going to receive this kind of advice differently. But that's okay.
Right.
That's okay, because like anything else, if we believe in it and it's in our principles, we're gonna be proponents, and we're gonna foster this positive approach to participation and for the pure joy of participation. And there is time, and life will come to you about winning and losing. So competition is inherent, and it's going to happen for us on and off the field.
Great advice.
That's good. I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. WNY Coaches Chalk Talk signing off.